I am here with Sherilyn Long, and I'm not sure if you noticed this or not, but my name, you have the same last name as I do.
That's amazing.
It is, and how come that is?
Because we're married.
That's right, because you're my wife. And I've been looking forward to doing this, one, because I know a lot about what you do already, of course. Mm-hmm. But it's fun for me to be able to ask you more questions and sit here and have an uninterrupted conversation just about your business and what you do, why you do it, how you do it, all those things. And just be able to hear you talk about it because I know how passionate you are about all the things that you're engaged in. And the truth is, we could probably do this for 3 hours.
Probably.
So it's a little bit of work to keep it to 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But we will, and there's plenty here, and there's places where people can find your work that we'll point them to at the end of it.
Yeah. Okay.
All this leading up to April 23rd and 24th for the Prosperous Women Summit. Women, I should say. And you have a couple of different talks that you're going to do there. We'll mention them again, but the first one's going to be Faith and Hypnosis. That's going to be on the 23rd. And we'll have information as underneath the video as people get a chance to look at it. And then on the 24th, the very next day, it's going to be Hypnosis and Herbal Healing for Chronic Inflammation and Autoimmune Conditions. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
The official title is Hypnosis and Herbal Healing. So let's start at, you do a lot of things. You do, like, even for your husband, it's hard for me to keep track of all of it. You're an author.
Yeah.
You're a speaker. You're a adjunct healthcare practitioner, and that includes being a massage therapist and a hypnotherapist. Mm-hmm. Okay. Where do you want to start?
Okay, well, we can start anywhere. So I work primarily with autoimmune and chronic inflammation in my practice.
Okay, what does that mean?
What does that mean? Yeah, so, well, primarily with women with chronic inflammation. So everything is inflamed. They typically say, I have a sensitive system,
okay, is
what a lot of my clients end up saying.
Okay.
And there tends to be reactive, right? So a little bit of swelling that happens. They may have food allergies, thyroid conditions, okay, and just feel like something's just not right.
Something feels off.
Something feels off.
Okay.
And it may or may not show up in tests, but they just tend to feel inflamed.
Okay.
And could be reactive. So some people might be more reactive to food or certain supplements or whatever that their bodies just are really sensitive to. And then autoimmune conditions are where the body is attacking itself, essentially. So there's
sounds awful.
Yeah, few years ago there was only about 80 autoimmune conditions. Right now there's over 100. So just within the last few years, the number of autoimmune conditions has significantly increased. Over 80% of people with autoimmune conditions are women.
So why? Two questions. One, why the increase? Why going from, or at least your opinion on why the increase? And then why more women?
Yeah, well, there's a lot more that is environmental toxins, both in our bodies and outside of our bodies. You know, things that we're doing to ourselves. Yeah, environmental. And the other thing is it's aggravated certainly by stress. We've had a really stressful time over the last few years.
No doubt.
And so those numbers are significantly increasing. And so I work with these women. The same thing, inflammation could be fibromyalgia. A lot of women with thyroid issues as well. Okay. And so we, in my office, we do hypnosis. I do herbal consulting. And I also do herbal detox massages, and then one of the other things I'm trained in is face analysis. Which is
fascinating to me,
yeah.
And that's a blast talking about that. I forgot to mention that, so I'm glad you brought it up, because that is really fun. But let's start off, since this is a lot of people have opinions on hypnosis, as did I.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I had an aversion to it, because I didn't understand it, and it did seem a little goofy, especially when thinking that it's something that it isn't, right? So is it controlling somebody's mind?
No.
Is it turning somebody into a chicken?
No.
Can you turn somebody into a chicken?
No, I can't.
You can't make somebody believe that they're a chicken or a cat or something like that?
Well, stage hypnosis is different than therapeutic hypnosis, okay?
Okay.
So in a stage hypnosis setup, they're trained to identify folks, right? So it's not just, am I hypnotizable or not? Because some people say, hey, I'm not hypnotizable.
Okay.
I don't take suggestions, well. But these are outgoing people. They want to be the life of the party. They want to be out there.
That are at stage hypnosis.
That they choose for their subjects.
They know how to choose those particular people.
They intentionally choose them. In fact, I had a client once who had mentioned, well, hey, I actually volunteered and was on stage for stage hypnosis, and she says it didn't work for me. She was very introverted. She was not the person. She was not a good subject for that.
So they chose the wrong person.
They chose the wrong person, and I said, yeah, the reason why it didn't work for you is that's not, you're not a good pick for that. But I've never had a problem in my office sitting in our chair. Okay. It's a therapeutic, or if we're doing a one-on-one online. That's a totally different thing.
So those stage hypnotherapists they're like attorneys in jury duty looking for the right people to be able to help them with their cause. And their cause is to entertain.
Right?
And to do things, and so that matches. So it is, because a lot of the concern, and you're going to address this in the summit, is people of faith looking at hypnosis and is this okay? And what's really happening, so that they feel comfortable that this is something, one, that works, but two, that they're not doing anything that's going to go against what they would feel is wrong.
Yeah.
So how's it happening? How can you explain that to some of this listening right now to go, this is what this is. This is why there's no concern about it. And this is what this is the value in this.
Yeah, so that is a big part of the talk that we're doing. So
wait till then. So tune in on the 23rd. So there's the answer. Show up on the 23rd, and you'll get the answer on that. But that's a good point. You're gonna You're gonna deep dive into that.
We're deep diving. So what we're gonna do is there's specific scriptures and things that folks have used, or ideas about hypnosis. The other thing about control and kind of there's a mystique that has happened with that. So, in fact, when the hypnotist used to come into the villages and stuff, they would hire people that would come in, and some would say the great things that happened, and then somebody else would go in and go, oh, this is terrible, and it's against our religion, and against, this is blasphemous, or whatever the thing is. They would hire both of these people to create a stir, right? So, controversy sells too, right?
Yeah, sure.
So, we see that all the time in the news, right? Yeah. People are going to be drawn to the drama. Well, back before TV, people were drawn to the drama there. In a therapeutic setting, we don't have to have that, but there is a bit of mystique that you have to overcome with that. So there's an idea that, hey, we're being controlled. It's not true. The truth is that it's an interactive process. Okay. So the way that I work with folks is that I spend about 2 hours, the first session, where we're really deep diving into what is it that you are wanting, and we come up with those suggestions. So hypnosis is focused attention, it's imagination. It's essentially what happens when you turn on your TV, or when you're driving and you are...
Yeah, I want to tell. I'm glad you brought that up.
Right, so you're daydreaming and stuff like that, but you're still in control, because if something happened here, you can stop the car, you can move it. You're still in control when you're daydreaming in your car. When you're watching a movie, sometimes there's things that you go, ugh, I don't agree with that, I don't want that, or I'm going to get up and go make a cup of tea or something and come and sit back down again. So that same thing happened. So what you're doing is that we're interacting, we're working together, we're coming up with the suggestions, and then we go into that process where you're utilizing imagination, focused attention with the suggestions.
So hypnosis isn't anything like out of the... This is in our daily life a lot of the time. If our daily life is plugging into, for example, screens and stuff like that, or entertainment or media, there is a facet of that that's already happening. So whether somebody believes in it or not, the truth is, if I'm hearing you correctly, is the truth that it's happening to people already just by plugging in. Okay.
And with that, the difference is that we're creating what you want. We're creating the change. Rather than having advertisers pay for TV, right? To TV spots, they're paying a lot of money for those TV spots because it works, right?
Yeah.
And when you have the repetition that you're continually sitting down there and doing that it does affect behavior,
okay.
right? So, but with this, it's far more powerful because we constantly are we've got scripts that are constantly going in our head. I'm not good enough. They're gonna be mad at me. Any of those other things that are repetitious, the same
okay.
statements that tend to be in our heads all the time. And so what we're doing is we're rewriting the script. So from a Christian standpoint, right? So I'm looking at Judeo-Christian texts in the faith and hypnosis talk. That what that is that we are. I lost what I was saying.
It's okay.
What was I saying?
You were under a hypnotic trance from me staring at you.
You were so cute.
I'm just admiring my wife, and I put you into hypnosis. That's okay. We'll come back to it.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it. And joking about how I'm like staring at my wife and putting you into some kind of hypnotic trance. Let's talk about, and we'll come back to that because I know it's going to pop back in your head. That's the cool thing about this is you have so many things that you do. I don't know how you keep all of this straight in your head anyway. So of course, this something like this can happen once in a while. Mm-hmm. You mentioned face analysis.
Yes.
So let's just go there for a minute because that is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
That by just looking at somebody's face, and after some training, no doubt, like you're skilled in it. This isn't something that you didn't watch a YouTube video and then say, I know how to do this. You're formally trained in a method on how to look at somebody's face and read things about them.
Yeah.
And we didn't put Josh up to this, but we could look at Josh's face and say, here's what to expect in producer Josh's face. And so it is fascinating. So tell me how quickly you can see somebody's face and be able to identify things about them. Is it immediate?
Well, there's some things that are immediate. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of what I do is that there's study time, right? It takes me about a half an hour to look at frontal face picture and then side profiles, and then I go through and create a very detailed report, and then I sit down and take about an hour with clients going through in detail, and that includes both some personality related stuff as well as and history, right? As well as some health-related things.
So those are the things you can find out by studying somebody's face.
Yes.
And just look at them. Do they need to does it matter what if they smile, you just have to look at a picture. I mean, you can do this by looking at a photograph.
Yeah, I've done that too. Yeah.
Or you're sitting with somebody, ideally somebody's in your office, and you can look at them or be able to, but you're like, it's not like you're saying, okay, do this, now turn this way, look at this, smile.
Yeah, I usually start with a photo. I mean, sometimes when I'm in session with people, then there's like, well, we might want to support your kidneys,
By looking at their face?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Isn't that, Josh, isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like by looking at somebody's face.
I didn't know you could do that.
I didn't either until Sherilyn was studying it.
It's amazing. I mean, the one thing that you can tell is like if there's potentially some genetic weaknesses for the heart.
Okay.
So one example for me was I had this cherry angioma, this red spot on the end of my nose.
Which is gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
And for a number of times I tried to burn it off and it didn't. It just came right back. And the gentleman that taught me before I started formally studying with him, Dr. Todd Frisch, he gave a presentation and I leaned into him and I pointed to my nose and I'm like, all right, Dr. Todd, what is this right here? And he looks at my face, and so the face is divided into the right side and the left side. So there's the female side and then there's the male side. And so he looks at my thing and he goes, okay, well, this is, your nose is related to your heart. And he takes a look at my tongue to see is there a crack to the end. And he goes, okay, well, it's not an actual heart thing. So usually within Chinese medicine, you're looking at, does it show up in multiple ways, right?
Okay.
So
you're looking for confirmation that it's
earlobes and the tongue and then the nose, right? So if there's at least a couple of them, then you really want to pay attention. But he looks in and he goes, okay, well, It's red. It's a fire. It's a heart fire. It's on the female side of the face, and he says it's a heart fire related to your mother.
Wow.
And I sat back and I said, yeah, you're right. It showed up after my mom died.
When you were 18.
When I was 18, it showed up after she died. And so one of the things that I started doing is that I was working from an herbal standpoint, and on some mental and emotional stuff related to the heart wounds, right? Having some healing that way. And when I had that full picture addressing both, then I was able to, I had a person that had some kind of solution or whatever to remove it, but every other time it always came back. And I'm like, now I'm ready. Because I've been addressing it in those ways, that all of a sudden it was gone and it hasn't come back.
Okay.
And so as I've supported, even there were times where it felt like it did kind of start to, then I supported that cardiovascular and I supported the other bit, and it would go away. So
a lot of it was mental, emotional, to your point. Like it came down to that, and it's been gone for a long time. Like I've almost forgotten that it was, forgotten that it was on there, which it didn't look bad to me and didn't make a difference to me at all, but I can understand when it's your own face, how you'd be like, hey, I want this gone, especially if it was connected to something that made you think a certain way.
Yeah.
Like if it brings up certain things in your life, and you're like, I kind of want to move past this, whatever it is that's manifested itself in our face.
Right.
And so does more of it come out the older we get? Like the longer you're alive, do you show more in your face? Meaning that...
A lot of times, yeah. I mean, there's things that you can look at, like our eyebrows even, and was there maybe some divorce or some conflict, like in your family growing up, right?
I mean, you're identifying family history conflict by looking at somebody's face.
Yeah, and face shapes too can give you insight also into some personality differences as well. So I've had times where somebody would speak up and they're very blunt, and they, I ask a question but they didn't answer and they were real blunt, and I went in and zoomed in and I just go, oh, this person can totally take it, and then I just responded. I'm like, that was not helpful. And they were okay with that, but I might not have responded in that way to somebody else.
Gotcha.
And I, then you don't have to take things personally too, because sometimes people don't mean to, be blunt or harsh or whatever. They don't mean to hurt your feelings, but that's just who they are. And so it's easier to...
So you learn how to communicate with certain people, so it's a really valuable tool. And
very valuable.
You just learn who you're communicating with, so you know how to... Like, how is this person going to receive it?
Yeah.
Meaning, what's the best way for me to communicate with this person? Like, if I was to go up to somebody that was, just give me the facts, let's move on, 30-second conversation, I'm done, I'd drive them bananas because I want to know, hey, how you doing? What's going on in your life? I want to chat with them, get to know them. I drive them bananas. So being able to know things about people so that you don't drive somebody bananas, super valuable.
Yeah, and then to know that about yourself too, right? So if you have understanding for yourself, then you know how to interact with other people, or you go, okay, I can tend to take some things personally or respond in a certain way. So that's really helpful too, or to know like what motivates you.
Yeah, so you'll know if there's something you need to accomplish in your life.
Yeah.
How am I going to move?
I'm a bucket face.
What's going to make me move?
So my face shape
is... Say it again?
I'm a bucket face.
A bucket face.
So a little bit wider at the top, and then down here. So it's not like a triangle, but it's a little bit more curved, right? Okay. So for my face shape, it is a little wider up here. So I love to learn. Okay. So I'm just fill in the bucket, and so then that's my motivation, right? So if I have a client too, and they have a bucket face, then I'm going to give them all the facts. Like, here's the study, here's the information.
Because they'll dig into it. Yeah. And that's what they're looking for. Yeah. You've told me I'm a tree face.
You are a tree face. You're a protector. And you also have a king jaw.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, let's look at Josh real quick. Just with this is a very quick look at Josh.
Josh is a bucket. Yeah. You're a learner.
I believe that. I am a learner.
Okay. I mean, how cool is this? This is in seconds. We didn't set up Josh. We didn't tell him. She doesn't know that we're. This is like straight up, just like, hey, we're just going to ask. Okay, cool. I mean, it's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating to me is that it's actually accurate and that it works. Like, it'd be one thing if somebody was doing this and they were just, winging it and taking some guesses. But the truth is, like, there's thousands of documented cases that prove this out. So this is like a method that over years has proven out. So the good news is you studied a very well-researched and affirmed and confirmed methodology to be able to do face analysis. Okay, so we covered face analysis. You're an herbalist. You're a master herbalist, which I know took some time to do that too. And a lot of, memorizing, was it Latin, what was it, root word, Latin root, herb words?
The Latin names, herbal constituents, what it's good for, different things that you can do with the plants.
Okay. So, what would you say, what is a master herbalist?
Yeah, I love that question because how I like to respond is, it's nothing.
Oh. It seemed like a lot when you were going through the training and having to take those tests.
It took me 5 years to go through the program, but...
if it's nothing, what am I eating all this green stuff for?
Yeah, all the green stuff. No, what I like to say is that I'm a master herbalist because I study from the master.
Okay. So you're saying that, like, God created a way for you to be able to use plants and things to be able to heal and sustain health and so on. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, so I help. The body has an intricate design of how to heal. And if you work with the body in its own ability to heal and repair itself, utilizing plants, so there's wild plants, there's things that some are cultivating, right? But there's food and medicine just right outside our door.
Yeah, I know about that.
Yeah.
Very quick side note,
Yeah.
that there's food and medicine right out our door. Josh, this is for you too.
Mm-hmm.
When Sherilyn and I were dating, we were having a dinner and she went out into the yard and dug up dandelion root.
Yeah,
I should know that. I know this because I've told this story 100
roots and
times.
greens. We had sheep sorrel. There was a lot.
Pulled things out of the yard to eat. The things that a lot of us are trying to kill in our yards, which is crazy, knowing and learning from you that the stuff that we're trying to kill could actually be beneficial to our bodies. But I thought it was wild, like just eating the things that are literally outside our door, like to your point, to pull them and grab them. And so there's benefit to eating things that are around us too.
Yeah, higher in nutrients as well
wherever
as
you're
higher
living.
in minerals. Yeah,
Okay.
if they're wild, they're gonna have a more established root structure. So, but also they're fighters. Right, the plants are fighters if they're out there in the wild. They're not just cultivated in a garden. So then they have to dig deeper. They grab more minerals. They're more nutritive.
Okay.
In fact, you have in the blue zones. So if you've heard of the blue zones, those are the long-lived folks in the world where it's pockets where they've all lived together in community.
So there's blue zones around the country, around the world.
Yeah, there's five blue zones. And
around the world or around the country?
Around the world.
Okay.
Around the world. There's one in the United States, Loma Linda, that's the Seventh-day Adventists primarily.
Southern Cal.
In Southern California, yeah.
Okay.
But Okinawa, Santorini, then there's Caria, did I say that right? In Greece, right?
Oh, okay.
So there's a particular island in Greece. And these folks that are living significantly longer, but one of the things that you find out is that they're out there picking wild, they're doing their own gardening later on in life, but they're also picking wild greens, and they're incorporating the wilds in their foods too.
And have been, this is like the way they've lived their lives?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's some consistency on how to live a life where they're still active. I mean, you showed me some of those videos of men and women out doing yard work, but trimming trees in their 80s.
Yeah, they're climbing trees.
Arms above their heads, clipping
90s,
things, and up into the 90s? Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So are blue zones also, what's the group that, is it the Centurions?
They're Centurions.
Are they the same group, or is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that part of being a blue zone?
The blue zones is they're living long, but they're healthy.
Okay.
Right?
So they're living vibrant, healthy, productive, abundant lives.
Yeah, and the reason why it's called Blue Zones is because the folks that started this study walked up to the map and in blue they circled it on the map.
Oh,
and
interesting.
they just started calling it Blue Zones.
That's how it came about.
But this is a higher collection of centurions in those pockets of the world.
So they're proven out.
Yeah.
But not just about living healthy, but living long and healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, terrific. Yeah. So I know you love to study health, of course, and you do it in a lot of different ways, but you also love to write.
Yeah.
You've published a lot of articles in a lot of different places, but you've also published 2 books. Working on your 3rd.
Yeah, working on my 3rd. So I'm creating a seasonal journal series. It does include some written content in there. So I have an herb of the season and write about the herb, my experience with that herb as a master herbalist. And I've got a recipe, but I also have lessons for the season just to kind of really connect with that, because we're inherently made to be connected with the season. So there's seasonal living, there's certain foods and things, organs of the body that you're actually supporting during that time. And so this is just kind of an introduction, experiential journal where I've got questions at the beginning and the end as well for folks to make the most of the season.
Yeah.
And then I've designed as well. So it is colored, and I've got quotes and stuff in there, and it's beautiful.
It is.
So,
you can hold it up so that actually there can be it does look, and I've been able to watch you go through this process, which has been super cool. You designed the whole thing.
Yeah.
From the art, of course, all the way, through this is, this is all your stuff.
Yeah. My design. So the spring one is currently in with the editors right now. I still have to work on the summer, but I've got 2 that are published and in print. Yeah, worked with my publisher on it, and I'm pretty happy with that.
So would you say that this is part of the healing process? Like if you're working for some of your patients, is part of the reasons that you or your clients, would you say that you put this together because you knew that this was part of, if they choose to journal and follow some processes and programs like this could be part of their healing journey?
Yeah, both for that. I see the healing of the inflammation in the body, but also dealing with stress and anxiety.
Okay.
Right? We have a lot of people experiencing stress and anxiety in our world.
No doubt.
Right? And so part of that is if we're so disconnected with the world, we're so disconnected with nature and the natural rhythms, that if we can get back in alignment with that, we're back aligning ourselves with God's design, then we're going to experience better health as a result too. And that's body, mind, and spirit. And so that is a big reason why I created these.
So how can you tell if you're out of alignment? How if somebody, is that part of autoimmune disorders? Could that be the result of being out of alignment?
Yeah.
Whether it's mental, emotional, spiritual, like if one of those categories, if you will, is out of alignment, you could start experiencing some kind of autoimmune disorder, potentially?
Yeah, it's if we're going against that pattern of our, again, goes back to we're creatures. What are we designed for? What is that fit? If we are in sync with that, then we certainly have less issues.
Okay.
Sometimes autoimmune can be related to having foreign materials in your body and other things like that your body is rejecting.
Okay. Through food or
through
whatever.
Food, through implants. So if the heavy metals in the body are really high.
Okay.
You can tell probably by that when you have that inflammation, that increase in inflammation in the body, increased in allergies as well, but also stress and anxiety is a really big clue. It's not just a feeling, it's a signpost. This is something's wrong.
Stress and anxiety is?
Yeah. Yeah. So, you think about like for instance, when I moved up here, I wanted to go, drive before I learned these principles. And in the winter, I'm like, let's go. But everything about winter is like, slow down. The cars are going slow, right?
Yeah.
We're sliding into the, you hope they're going slower.
Right.
but it takes a lot more energy to counter that seasonal flux, that energy of the season, right? It takes a lot more out of you, and it ends up being more exhausting. And so
fighting it does, you mean?
Fighting it.
Fighting it takes more.
When we're fighting nature, then we suffer.
So winter is a good time to rest.
It is a good time to rest.
And is that just for northern states and let's say even countries and parts of the world that experience a literal winter rather than maybe these other climates that seem like, let's take like San Diego, for example, right?
Right.
Or Hawaii or places where it's pretty consistent. Are they going to experience the same thing? Like, is there still a season for somebody even though it's 70?
Yeah, so there's microclimates and stuff and things that change, right?
Okay.
They certainly have a larger growing season.
Okay.
But even in Arizona, we were just recently in Arizona, there is still a spring, summer, winter, and fall in Arizona.
Okay.
It just, in fact, even
Just
more
happens
so.
to be
I'm going
amazing and a lot of
really
people wanna be-
simple with 4 seasons with my books, but there's actually early spring, late spring, early fall, right? So
Shoulder seasons.
Yeah, it's broken up into more than just the 4 seasons.
Okay.
But for simplicity's sake, we stick with four journals, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, they even have that time. So when we're down there and there's certain things that I want to, like, hey, let's go stalk the prickly pear cactus and like see what we can make some nopales with the cactus pads, and then maybe some of the flowers or whatever, that they're not blooming until spring, right?
Gotcha.
So it's not the right time. So yes, there's seasons all around. It's more extreme up here, and so it's even more necessary, right, to have that rest in your northern climates. But yes, we all have them.
So how does it work if you have all of these different ways to be able to help somebody?
Yeah.
So how do you determine which one to use? Like if somebody comes in with, and you can even pick whichever autoimmune disorder you even want to like use as an example, but how do you know where to start? Like you got all these things that you can pull from that would seemingly be overwhelming for somebody if it all came at them, like, we'll do this, 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 and this. So how do you choose which one to use?
Well, it always starts with what draws them, right? If they're wanting to come in for hypnosis because they're dealing with stress and anxiety, then we start there. And with the conversation, I may say, hey, look, these are the other things that I'm also offering. I have some programs that incorporate all of those things because, again, we're not just divided creatures. We are integrated.
Okay.
We are body, mind, soul, spirit. Your muscles, your fascia, your tissues, all of these things work together. And that's one of the things that is different in how I work as an herbalist and in the natural medicine field is that we look at all of those things and how they're integrated. So I had, mentioning hypnosis, I had a client that came in to see me. She was doing herbal detox massages. We did a face analysis. We were doing hypnosis, and we were also doing herbal consulting. So we were doing all of that in my Reduce Your Flare-Ups program. And so, but we did a hypnosis session, and her inflammation just, boom, dropped significantly after 1 or 2 sessions, and she noticed a huge difference, and she sat there shocked, and she says, who knew that my mind could affect the inflammation of my body so much? And it was significant, right? And so I will go wherever people are ready to start with. When you have, I think of like a stool, and when you're addressing things in different ways is where you're going to see more of an impact than if you're just picking one, right? So if people are coming in and they're doing an herbal detox massage, they're not going to, it's like, gosh, we really need to also address things internally too. We'd love to be able to at least have 2 of those legs of the stool. Okay. Now, I do also do, and that's for folks that have come in here, but I have programs as well for herbal consulting and for the hypnosis and for coaching. that is if folks are remote, and then I may also encourage them, like, okay, here's who you might want to go to get that other aspect that you couldn't get from me if you're not in person.
Ultimately, you're just trying to help somebody, help them heal. So if there's certain things you know are going to work, but that you're not offering, you can steer people in that direction, right?
Yeah, and it's like, okay, how do you, if there's a break or a cut, if there's an inflamed part, right? That's the one that you want to protect first,
okay,
before other things. So it gives me an idea if somebody's coming in and they've got a lot of stress and anxiety, and it's mental, emotional, that's the loudest thing, then that's where we start.
Okay. You mentioned something that, as a licensed massage therapist, you do something that, not that I'm aware of all of the licensed massage therapists around the world, but seems very unique to me. And that is like herbal detox and things that make it like no other experience. Mm-hmm. So you use herbs as a licensed massage therapist. That's a big part of your practice.
Yeah. I do custom herbal blends for whoever's coming in for the day. And so they're herb-soaked towels. That
unique to them.
That's unique. Yeah, it's who's coming in that day. So I'm looking and seeing who's there, right? That is one of the things that as a master herbalist, you need to be careful with is I don't diagnose or prescribe or whatever, right? I'm not a doctor.
Right. Disclaimer.
But disclaimer. Gotta get the disclaimer. I get a little bit cheeky though and say like God's the one that's healing. It's the wisdom of your body. It's not me. It's not anybody. It's not even your doctor, right? So it's supporting the body in its ability to be able to heal and repair itself. So we do herbal herbs topically. Now, some people have done that with, like, if you have a lotion and there's lavender on there or whatever, right, that's in there. So it has been done, but this one is a little bit different. It's a step up. I like to think about it as like massage 10.0 for that.
10.0.
10.0.
Okay.
Yeah, I originally said 5.0, and I had a client that said, no, it's 10.0.
Yeah.
Okay,
I gotta for sure.
Make it be accurate with
Hold up a recorder and ask her to say it again.
Yeah. It's a great review.
It is a great review.
But, yeah, so then that, it's great because I'm asking them the other question. And they have to do, if they're going to do herbal consulting and stuff, we need to have those sessions and as well. So then that way we can open up the conversation into whichever direction we need to go in, rather than just as a massage. But yeah.
And you're learning whatever direction by just learning about them, hearing from them, just being able to see what the body's doing, how it's reacting to the things that you're already helping them with. So it's learning as you go, and everybody's different. So that the nice thing about having a practice with all of these different toolkits, I don't know what else, like options, modalities, you have these where somebody can come in and they might not engage in all of it, they might engage in some of it. And so it's really up to what you're saying is the client's body being able to tell them, and for you to be able to learn from what they're telling you. I get it, this is what the body's doing, here's how we're going to support it in order to heal itself. Am I getting it accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will add here that we have an amazing intuition. And a big part of pain and healing, especially for autoimmune, is experiencing gaslighting. And whether that's family or whether that's, from a medical side, a lot of times of where they know something is wrong, they can feel it, but then it's not showing up on the tests or whatever, and it's like, okay, they feel like they're being made to be crazy. And so a big part of the healing process, and I say this all the time with my clients, is you are in the driver's seat. And so I'll give my recommendation and I'll see where things are at, and walk them through with stuff, but it's ultimately their choice in that. And that
goes the same thing for hypnosis, like you mentioned, they're in the driver's seat.
They're in the driver's seat.
Losing control of their mind.
No.
Just to reiterate,
not at all.
Everything you're doing, they're still in control of it.
They're in control.
In everything you're doing. Okay.
Absolutely. And, I had, if there is something, and I've seen this with clients as well as my own experience, if there's something that the hypnotist says that they're not in line with, they will start to come out of trance. So you you want to get it right for that person
Okay.
because you want them to have a more effective session, right? But sometimes, I mean, at one point somebody says, when you did that, like that part didn't really resonate or whatever with me, that they were aware of it, or it kind of pulled them out a little bit. So you are in control all the time.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
It's not completely shut down.
Yeah, good. Just keep going back to that. Just for people in general with their health journey, that they're participating.
You're participating.
They're participating.
Absolutely.
Did we answer the question of why it's more women than men for autoimmune disorders? Did we? I can't remember if we got that. Do you remember?
Hormones, I think, is a really big
Okay.
thing. The other thing is that for women anyway that are menstruating, their immune system drops.
Okay.
So it is quite common for women that maybe when they're on their cycle, they also end up getting sick and their neck goes out at the same time, right? And so because that change in hormones really does affect things, we have a higher immune system, but then it drops lower frequently.
So is there strategy
So-
during a woman's cycle? So this once a month time that they are doing things differently, knowing that their immune system is weakened a bit? Is there strategy
Yeah.
around during your time going through your cycle? Here's the things you want to do that maybe you wouldn't do the rest of your month.
I think really nurturing
Okay.
is important. Being kind with yourself, not driving so much.
Okay.
But I would say even before then, a really big thing that is important is anytime you have high periods of activity and growth, to schedule times of rest.
Okay.
And so what I found for me is that when I started doing that and recognizing, again, cycles in nature, you have like this incredible wood table that you can see that the darker flecks, the darker strains are from wintertime. And then the lighter ones that are bigger tend to be during the summer growth, and it's a lot bigger. So cycles in life is periods of activity and periods of rest. So if kind of a micro season, if I'm actively busy and working, or we have a lot of like late evenings or other stuff, then I'm actively going to choose rest time and prepare ahead of time when I'm scheduling it out and going, okay, this is a lot of activity, I'm going to have some rest. Because if you don't do that, you set yourself up for getting sick. And so with women, I think regularly doing that is really important, and then nurturing that bit. Women also need to really nurture their creativity. That's essential for your health and for your immune system. And we make things pretty.
Yeah, no doubt.
I did a survival. I have a friend who led a sisterhood survivalist weekend where we were out and we were
Killing bears and stuff.
we didn't kill bears,
Oh,
but
not that kind of survival.
paint, right? No, but we were tracking. We were making cordage and other things, and we were cooking over the fire and all the knife skills and making fires and stuff. And one of the things with that is that it's so funny, you tell these jokes and then all of a sudden my brain goes off. Like, it's so funny. But we were doing this survivalist thing, and we were thinking, like, what is it for women that are doing survival and survival skills, right? And we think about like just camo and, right, when you think of the word survival. But for women, you look back at history and you go, okay, well, how did the Native Americans do? The women were painting the teepees, and they were doing the beads, and they were, right? So we make things beautiful. We make things pretty.
Yeah,
and
I
if
agree.
we're drive, go, produce all the time, or locked into our schedule, and we don't allow space for creativity, then it really is a slow death internally for a lot of women. And it will eventually play out in health conditions. So during your cycle, it's a great time to nurture creativity, but to find moments where you can have that pause and rest and be in a different brain state. And hypnosis can help with that too.
Do you have fun doing what you're doing?
I do.
Like, I know you love doing what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
But it is fun for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like
I
fun.
love
If
it.
you're out doing, like you said, sisterhood survival weekends and things, I do know that you like doing that. You have no problem sleeping out underneath the stars and roughing it at all. Like, that stuff doesn't bother you. And you like connecting with nature, but also people in nature and stuff like that. So, would you say all the stuff you engage in is fun? You like?
Oh, absolutely.
And
This is all creative.
So
Creative juice.
take on what you were
Yeah.
saying, like, is that where you get some of the, when you're saying women need to be creative, and everybody, obviously to some degree, but we're talking about women here for the summit, that they need to be creative. Is this where you get a lot of your creative outlet, is literally in what you do as writing your
Yeah.
journals, studying face analysis, being an herbalist, a coach?
Yeah, this is, I mean, even like my journals was first of all my creative play.
Because you're an artist as well.
And then I turned it into an offering that I could give, for the community,
Yeah.
right? And so I love doing that. It's like, gosh, if I'm going to create something, could I eventually turn it into something else, right? So I'm creating right now. The new one that I'm putting together is the Christian Wellness Club, and so we'll be teaching biblical foundations for health, but then also herbal education, and we'll be doing that. So I'm actively working. So when I'm creating the website and doing all this stuff, it's just like it's
That you're
play.
doing
It's
right
play.
now.
It's play, yeah.
Okay, what are you
Yeah.
calling it again?
The Christian Wellness Club.
The Christian Wellness Club. Okay, for people to be able to engage, that love to talk about these things and want to continue to learn, and
Yeah.
so it might not necessarily be somebody that's looking for, they don't need to have an autoimmune disorder to be able to be in that club. This is about just people that want to learn biblical principles on health and so on, be in a community of people that wanted to learn the same thing and stuff like that. Am I getting there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Deep dive into herbal education, biblical foundations for health. And then at times I'll bring in some guest speakers too, some experts in the field that can talk about different aspects. But yeah, so that one's been really fun. It's been exciting for me because I'm very passionate about health and healing. And
Yeah, no doubt.
I think that is our birthright. We're made.
What is our
bodies.
what is our birthright?
Our bodies are made to heal.
Our birthright is to heal.
Is healing. You see a child, right? Like your body is a self-repairing machine that is just intricately designed and beautiful. And the cool thing too is that you can address that again with internal stuff, but the same thing from a hypnotic standpoint, our minds are really powerful too. And so we're able to see physical things shift and change as well, even just from the hypnosis part, which is really cool. And the cool thing too is like from an autoimmune chronic inflammation standpoint, there's a lot of times you look back, there's some trauma that preceded the onset of those conditions.
Okay.
So being able to address the mental emotional part can really have profound effect on the physical.
What would you say as we're getting closer to the event, which is just a little over a month away? What's a good thing what can women do right now if they're experiencing some kind of autoimmune disorder, or they're hearing something that they, in our discussion here, they're like, oh, I felt that way, or that really resonates with me. What do you recommend? Is there anything you can recommend to someone that they can make it, like what kind of decision is there? What would be a step for somebody right now to go, I'm going to take a step toward my own healing, but I don't really know what to do. Like, what would it be?
Yeah. Managing stress is huge.
Okay.
Sleep is huge. And I would say, like, if there was one thing that they could just do when you say right now, I'm thinking, gosh, it's a sunny, beautiful day, and we're kind of rolling into spring. Like, go put your feet in the dirt, in the
Grounding.
grass. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but the other thing maybe is you take a look at your calendar.
See if you can get rid of some stuff?
See if there's things that you can get rid of, things that you can like shift in some of your scheduling, so that way you can give yourself some rest period. Block out the days for the Hypnosis Summit, because you're going to get some really good tools for that as well. And we're going to be doing, we're going to be demonstrating as well. So we're going to give information, but you're actually going to have some real information and real shifts.
Oh, you mean like walking people through stuff where they can actually engage? We're going to do some
hypnosis while we're there. So it's absolutely fabulous, a really great opportunity, and it's completely free. From the question of faith and hypnosis, I'm going to be doing a deep dive into the biblical texts, and then also we will be looking like at the Hebrew, at the Greek, to really have an understanding. So then that way you're not just searching online and going, what is it? And it's somebody that doesn't know what hypnosis is, making their statement of whether it's okay or not. We're actually going to be going through that as well, personally, while we're there.
Oh, so like any of those concerns, you'll be able to like have the conversation about it, to where somebody can like not just hear it here, but also dig into it a little bit more at the summit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Free for everybody, but it's for women. And it's April 23rd and 24th. And I'm going to mention again what your topics are, and then we're going to find out where we can find you. I know where to find you. Super pretty. I get to sit across the table from my pretty wife and ask those questions. And Josh, I did learn a lot, seriously, from finding it. Like, I know the things that Sherilyn does, but to be able to sit in and have a conversation and like to dig in more to it. I learn stuff all the time. Doesn't mean I always follow all of the recommendations, but it does know that I'm learning them.
You follow a lot of them.
I do. I mean, not bad. Not bad. It's taken time. It's taken time, no doubt. Anything that, if it isn't happening, I'll guarantee that it's because I'm making my own choices. But I get to ask. Think of how cool this is. I can ask Sherilyn like anything we're talking about. I can just walk up and ask all this stuff like, hey, what's this? I mean, probably isn't always fun getting the 20 questions, especially some of them that I ask are ridiculous. Like, they're crazy sometimes, but it's fun. Like, I know sometimes that I'll purposely ask something that that I know is a little bit goofy, but you still have an answer for it. I don't know.
I do, and sometimes I go, God, please give him somebody else to answer.
Exactly. So I'm going to start calling you, Josh. I'm going to start asking Josh's questions. So.
Call me up, and I've got some good answers for you, and some maybe not so good answers for you.
Well, then we'll just both go back to Sherilyn and say, okay, here's what we came up with. For some coaching, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so on the 23rd, this is the first day of the Prosperous Woman. Yours is going to be at 9:45 a.m. It's a packed day from 9 in the morning, like past 3 o'clock. You guys are going to be going wall to wall and treetop tall. And so you're doing faith and hypnosis. And then on the second day, the following day, which is 24th, free for everybody again, is going to be the Healing from Within, which is hypnosis and herbal healing for chronic inflammation and autoimmune conditions, which is what we were talking about today. So where can people find you? You got all of this incredible stuff that you do, and you've got journals, you have a lot of great content that you've already put out there. Where can they find it?
I'd say probably the easiest place is thegracefulleaf.com.
Okay.
Those are my author pages for my books, and there's a spot on there that says Work With Me that can take you over to my Idaho Therapeutic Massage page, but from there I'll also have the Christian Wellness Club, so it'll link all of them from there. Okay,
so that's the place to go to learn all about the rest of this stuff. Yeah. So people listening from anywhere around the planet can be able to connect with you, but also can engage like with the club.
Yeah, the graceful leaf. So it's a leaf that is falling that is being held by that invisible thread. So if you've ever seen that I named it after me.
That's right. Let's tell that story.
Yeah. So this is how I got the name for my books. I was walking over at George Fox University. I was visiting there, and it was a fall day, and there was a thread with a maple leaf that was being held by its stem, and it was dancing in the wind. I'd never seen that before. And I stopped in my tracks, and it was just this miracle in front of me, and everybody's busy walking around for the day, and it was just this pivotal moment that I looked at this and I go, does anybody notice this miracle? Like, this leaf is just dancing, and it's being held by an invisible thread. And so it became a symbol for me of recognizing that no matter what, we are held by an invisible thread, suspended between heaven and earth. Like there's all of that there, that no matter what we're feeling in life, like we're okay. We've got this love and protection, right?
Yeah.
And so the graceful leaf. So there will be 2 L's in the .com.
Okay.
And but yeah, that's it.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Terrific. So much fun. This was great. You're beautiful. You do incredible work, and I admire you for all this stuff, and I think you're brilliant. And so I'm excited because I get to do the panel at the summit as well, so I'll be able to ask some questions for you and your colleagues, and we'll have some fun picking some of this back up where we left off. Sherilyn Long, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.